Hey y'all, it's me. Today we're going to do Threefold, Section 3, Part 1. We'll go ahead and get started. Guinness rode a large lizard through a forest. He had never been this far from home. He had never wanted to leave home. When he arrived on the southern end of Lunastra, he managed to capture a Lunastrian dragon, so he wouldn't have to travel on foot. Running across a Lunastrian dragon had been exciting for him. This animal was one of many he studied during his time at university. He had no time to examine or admire it. He concentrated on the reason he had come to Lanastra. Guinness remembered the note he received a few days ago. He had read the note. If you hope to avenge your father, go to Lanastra. Find this young man, Junyo Sugashima. He'll lead you to Mateo. Whoever sent the note included a photo. Guinness wasn't sure who the message was from, but the fact it was connected to Mateo made him head for Lunastra. If anything, this was one of Mateo's games. He had gone to multiple inns, taverns, and tea houses to find a lead when he arrived in the port town. For several days he had no luck, but one day he ran into a young woman. She came into the port to rest at an inn before she headed back out to sea. While questioning fellow crew members, she recognized Junyo from the photo. I've run into him a few times, she said. He hitched a ride with us about a week ago. He usually keeps to himself, but I speak to him from time to time. Where can I find him? Guinness asked her. Her dark brown eyes were bright and fierce. Her complexion was lighter than his, but with a dark tint. Her black hair was braided to the back into a small bun. She was attractive. When an older woman came toward the table, the young woman stood up and offered her seat, while the elder eyed him suspiciously. Desiree, the elder woman said, could you get me a drink? Desiree nodded with a smile. She headed toward the bar. He followed her body with his eyes. You're a brave man to ogle my granddaughter right in front of me, the older woman said. Do you have business with her, or were you hoping to lose your eyes tonight? Guinness watched her stab a knife into the table and watched the men around him focus their attention on him. Looked like he'd have to fight his way out of here. Good. He wanted to let loose on someone ever since he got the note from Mateo. He stood up from the table to face the men watching him, but he stopped. With a puzzled expression on his face, he examined the older woman's face. Unlike her granddaughter, her eyes were forest green, her hair short, graying blonde, and her complexion very light. They looked different, but he did see some resemblance. Don't think about it too hard, she said. My daughter married a Solaresian. Guinness understood. Sorry, ma'am, Guinness said. Yes, I do have business with her. She's helping me find someone. I didn't mean you or your granddaughter any disrespect. He showed her the picture of Junyo. I'm searching for this man. Desiree came back with a glass of wine. Thanks, her grandmother said, taking the glass from her. Desiree pulled up a chair and sat beside her. Guinness noticed the men nearby returned to their drinking, dining, and card playing. Yes, the grandmother said, I remember this young man. He's crossed our path a few times. He's never much for conversation, but he does some work for me and does it well. We dropped him off here a couple days ago. That's what I told him, Desiree said. He wants to know where he can find him, but I'm not sure I should tell him, especially without a good reason. If you want to know, Guinness said, I'll tell you. He took a seat at the table. He has some information concerning the whereabouts of a man I'm trying to find. A man who ran off after he killed my old man about 5 years ago. I want to find him so I can do to him what he did to my old man. Guinness felt Desiree watching him as he clenched his fists on the table as he remembered the last time he saw his father. She placed a hand on one of his wrists for a moment, bringing him back. He nodded toward her. He pulled his hands from the table. He's your brother, Desiree said, isn't he? No, Guinness said. No brother of mine would do what he did. He watched her nod, understanding in her eyes. What made you think he was my brother? You looked conflicted, Desiree said. I'm not conflicted about anything, Guinness said. When I find him, I'm going to make him suffer before I take his life. If you feel this strongly about it, Desiree said, why did it take you so long to go after him? My mother, Guinness said. She said he had a good reason for what he did. I don't believe it. What's your name, young man? Desiree's grandmother asked. Guinness, he said. That can't be your name, Guinness said. Desiree said. It is, Guinness said. Your father must have had a sense of humor, the grandmother said. I'm Captain Ruth Newcastle, 7th class Buccaneer, and I give you my word, I'm sure Junio doesn't know the man you're trying to find. Several of Guinness's friends had joined the Buccaneer ranks. They were men who lived on the seas, sometimes disguised as pirates, to capture them, procure stolen goods, and return them to their original owners. Whatever no one claimed or they couldn't return, they kept. Buccaneers made a good living. To hear about a woman as a high-ranking Buccaneer surprised him, but when she told him Junio wouldn't know Mateo, he frowned. She's right, Desiree said. He stays on the move in his line of work. He doesn't bother with people unless necessary. However, I'm sure he could locate your brother for you. From what I've heard of him, people say he's a decent bounty hunter. Tell me where he said he was headed, Guinness said, and I'll ask him myself. Desiree glanced at Ruth. Honestly, I don't know. She didn't quite trust him. He could tell by the look she gave her grandmother. He saw apprehension in her eyes. He told me he was headed home, Desiree said, and I didn't bother to ask where home might be. Information doesn't exactly flow freely from Junio's lips. It's delicate work. Calcadea, Ruth said. You don't ride on my ship without telling me where you're going. Thanks, Guinness said to them. He rose to leave. Young or old, Ruth said, men are all alike. They get what they want from you, and then they leave. Do yourself a favor and remember that well, Desiree. Guinness stopped and faced Ruth and Desiree. They laughed. I'm kidding, Ruth said. Your sudden departure is rude, Desiree said, but she's kidding. I hope before you try and hurt your brother, you talk to him about what happened. There are always multiple sides to a story. She met his eyes. Not to this one, Guinness said. He turned from the table, but before he took a step, he turned back toward them. You're both Buccaneers? Why? Why not? Ruth said. Beating down men who think they're better than you never gets old, Desiree said. Plus, the perks are amazing. Guinness watched Desiree pull up her gold necklace to reveal a medium-sized marquise-shaped emerald. Diamonds aren't this girl's only best friends, Desiree said. She and Ruth laughed together. Guinness smiled. If you ever reach Estrellano, Guinness said, Epsilon City, look me up. As thanks, I'll treat you both to a good time. We'll hold you to it, Desiree said. All right, guys, that was part 1 of section 3. And I didn't say it in the beginning, but it's entitled Survivor. So that was part 1, and section 3 is called Survivor. Tomorrow will be part 2. Thanks for listening. Hope to hear from you at some point. If not, it's okay. I appreciate you listening to my voice acting skills and audiobook reading stuff that I'm doing. All right, have a good one. Bye.